In this video, we'll be taking a look at one NHL game happening on June 4th, 2025, and providing you with a free team pick and total pick for this game. So 2 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on this one NHL game after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Florida Panthers versus Edmonton Oilers. The ice is calling, and the tension is building as the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers prepare to face off in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. It's a rare rematch, something we haven't seen in the final since way back in 2009, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the series. The Panthers, still riding high from their championship run last year, absolutely steamrolled their way through the first 3 rounds of this year's playoffs, and they're hungry to prove it wasn't a fluke and hoist that cup once again. Meanwhile, the Oilers, after a dominant 12-4 showing in those same opening rounds, are laser-focused on settling the score after falling just short on the biggest stage last season. Florida is dead set on cementing their status as a true dynasty, chasing after their second consecutive Stanley Cup victory with a relentless drive. They clawed their way through the Eastern Conference playoffs, ultimately seizing the Eastern Conference crown after taking down a pair of Atlantic Division rivals, even though they themselves finished 3rd in the division standings. Their journey is a pretty clear illustration that being healthy and peaking at the right time can be even more crucial than having a top seed. On the other side of the ice, Edmonton is burning to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals, especially after experiencing the heartbreak of being just 1 win away from completing what would have been remembered as one of the most improbable comebacks in hockey history. The Oilers also ended up in 3rd place in their Pacific Division, but they made short work of their 2 divisional foes, the Los Angeles Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And after taking care of the Dallas Stars, they've arrived at the final step in their quest for redemption. The Florida Panthers are coming off a series-clinching victory over Carolina, wrapping things up in 5 games with a series of decisive wins: 5-2, 5-0, 6-2, a minor stumble at 0-3, and finally a 5-3 triumph. Looking closer at that Game 5 win, Florida found themselves in a tricky spot, trailing 2-0 early in the first period. The score was knotted at 3 apiece deep into the 3rd, but the Panthers dug deep, found another gear, and managed to score the last 2 goals of the game, sealing the series victory. Throughout that game, the Panthers managed to outshoot Carolina by a narrow margin of 25-23. They also held a slight edge in face-off wins, claiming 50.7% of the draws, and went 1 for 4 on the power play. Before their series against the Hurricanes, the Panthers took care of business against the Lightning in the first round, dispatching them in 5 games, and then battled their way through a tough 7-game series against the Maple Leafs in the second round. In that series against Toronto, Florida found themselves in an early hole, dropping the first 2 games. However, since those early stumbles, they've been a force to be reckoned with, winning 8 of their last 10 contests. Statistically, Florida has been averaging 3 goals per game while allowing 2.72 goals against per game. Their power play has been converting at a solid 23.5% clip, and their penalty kill unit has been effective, operating at 80.7% efficiency for the season. The Edmonton Oilers are coming off a series-clinching victory over Dallas, closing it out in 5 games with scores of 3-6, 3-0, 6-1, 4-1, and 6-3. Examining their Game 5 victory more closely, Edmonton stormed out of the gates, building a commanding 3-0 lead within the first 8 minutes of play. However, Dallas responded, cutting the lead to 3-2 in the second period and then to a narrow 4-3 margin in the 3rd, before Edmonton finally slammed the door shut with some late goals. Over the course of that deciding game, the Oilers outshot Dallas by a count of 23-17. They also dominated in the face-off circle, winning an impressive 54.9% of the draws, and they capitalized on one of their 2 power play opportunities, going 1 for 2 with the man advantage. Prior to their series against the Stars, the Oilers eliminated the Kings in 6 games in the first round and then knocked out the Golden Knights in 5 games in the second round. Edmonton faced some early adversity in their first-round series against Los Angeles, falling behind 2-0. However, since those early setbacks, they've been on a tear, winning 12 of their last 14 games heading into this series. On the season, Edmonton has been averaging 3.16 goals per game while allowing 2.87 goals against per game. Their power play has been clicking at a rate of 23.7%. and their penalty kill unit has been operating at 78.2% efficiency. The moment hockey fans have been waiting for has finally arrived. The 2025 Stanley Cup Finals are here, and it's just about time for the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers to hit the ice and begin what promises to be an epic series. This marks the second consecutive year that these two teams will battle for the Stanley Cup, with Florida aiming to defend their title and cement their legacy, and Edmonton determined to snatch the cup and rewrite last year's ending. This series has all the ingredients to become an instant classic, and we're here to provide our Panthers versus Oilers predictions to get things started for Game 1. Rewinding back to the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals, Florida came out of the gates flying, jumping out to a commanding 3-0 series lead before ultimately securing the Stanley Cup victory in a thrilling Game 7. That defeat has undoubtedly left a bitter taste in the mouths of the Edmonton players, especially since a significant portion of their roster experienced that heartbreak firsthand. The Oilers are looking incredibly strong this year, having suffered just 4 losses through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, showcasing absolute dominance. Now, they have the opportunity to start this series on their home ice, and I anticipate they'll come out with a fiery intensity. Edmonton has been fueled by exceptional performances from their star players, but their depth has also been a major factor in their success. Beyond the big names, they've gotten contributions from up and down the lineup. Plus, starting goaltender Stuart Skinner has been lights out and highly consistent since round 2. The Oilers navigated a playoff path that many would argue was more challenging than Florida's, and they've sliced through their opponents with remarkable ease. Now, the question is whether they can replicate that success against a true powerhouse, and starting this series at a deficit is something this team is desperate to avoid repeating. I'm anticipating that Edmonton will come into this game with an exceptional level of focus, driven by their desire to start this series with more momentum than they had last season. Both of these teams have been performing at a very high level over the past few weeks, but I believe that Edmonton's offensive firepower will ultimately prove to be too much for Florida to handle. We've witnessed the Oilers scoring at least 4 goals in 3 consecutive games, and Skinner has been elite since coming in for Pickard and taking over the starting role. This could be a lengthy and grueling series, but I'm placing my bet on the Oilers to secure a Game 1 victory in front of their home crowd, which should create an electric and deafening atmosphere. As our first pick for this matchup, the Edmonton Oilers money line is our full game side pick. Looking back at the 2 regular season meetings between these teams, the total goals scored in each game reached 7 and 11, respectively, suggesting a pattern of high-scoring contests. I'm expecting Game 1 of this series to feature plenty of scoring opportunities as both teams try to solve each other's defensive schemes and exploit any weaknesses. Although it's a limited sample size, Florida has managed to score 4 or more goals in each of the first games of their respective playoff series, all of which were on the road, demonstrating their ability to start strong. The same can be said for the Oilers, with Edmonton scoring 3 or more goals in each of their Game 1 matchups, showcasing their offensive firepower right from the opening puck drop. However, I still have some reservations about fully trusting Stuart Skinner in goal for Edmonton, and with a dynamic playmaker like Connor McDavid on the ice, there's no telling what kind of offensive magic could unfold. The Panthers, who have collectively scored 66 goals throughout the playoffs, should continue to generate plenty of scoring chances, with Alexander Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk, and the rest of their skilled forward unit establishing a strong presence in the offensive zone. They excel at creating open shots through quick and precise passes. On the other side, the Oilers, who have tallied 16 goals in their last 3 games alone, should keep the pressure on by utilizing their speed and skill, with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and the rest of their talented forward unit crashing the net on the rush and overwhelming the Panthers with speed in all 3 zones. They're also adept at creating open shots through effective puck movement, allowing Evan Bouchard to unleash shots from the point. Given the offensive prowess displayed by both the Oilers and the Panthers throughout the playoffs, this game has all the makings of a high-scoring affair right from the opening face-off, with both offenses expected to step up and deliver. I trust the offensive capabilities of both teams in this particular matchup more than I trust their defensive solidity. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.